I'm seeing some familiar faces. All right, hello and welcome. Thank you for coming today. My name is Jen Roscoe, and I'm a counselor with the Montana Public Health Training Center under the Wellness Program. And today's class is going to be focused on how to calm the threat response. And we're just going to get started because we have a lot to get going with here. All right, so today, everything that I'm going to cover is starting with trauma. And I think it's good just for folks that are new to this concept. This class is open to the public and free. And so I never really know what level of understanding people are bringing in. So I'm going to go over kind of a basic overview of trauma, hypervigilance, the nervous system, and move into control versus no control and how that affects our brain and our system and our cognitions. And then I want to bring in some tools for softening. This is regulating tools, self-care, incorporating boundaries, and then move into the way we move through the world and how we talk, how we listen, and also how we can co-regulate with others. And, you know, today it's like one of the things I love starting with, and it's one of our regulating tools. This is definitely part of moving into softening a threat response is in some mindfulness. And so I'm hoping to move into just resetting your system. If you've had a busy week and it's been a little hectic getting the kids out the door, or you're coming in hot today to work, we're just going to do a 5-minute grounding sequence. And today we're going to focus in on a place that feels safe and comfortable for you. And so that will be the visualization that'll be focused in on. And, you know, this just helps us in resetting our brain. Also, it helps us when you come out of any mindfulness, even if it was like kind of a struggle and you're kind of in and out and you're noticing lots of thoughts moving in and out, you're still building that muscle and it'll help you absorb more information. So it's a really great place to learn from after mindfulness. And it's also a really lovely place to make decisions out of. Okay, so before we get into that, I want to start with getting out ahead of your day and just noticing that what we do first in the morning is going to set us up for success and how we move through anything that's dysregulating. Your morning is really important. And so I'm going to start with this 2-minute video, and then we'll move into some mindfulness. Hello and welcome. My name is Jen Roscoe. I'm a counselor with the Montana Public Health Training Center under the Wellness Program. And today's tool and tip is focused on how you start your day. All right, so let's just take a second. Think about what's your usual morning routine. And so this is a real conscious effort in shifting your own self-perception of the world, or maybe yourself, into feeling a little better. For some people, is cutting out some things. That might be negative information that you may receive over and over and over again through the news. So maybe checking in on the news a little bit later in the day to see what's going on. For other people, they focus in on gratitude. Some people have a gratitude journal, or some people just lay in bed and notice what they appreciate that's in their life. Other people journal, and some people just like literally do a little mindfulness where they focus in on inner peace or feeling positive. So the cool thing we know about this research is that whatever sinks in the brain links in the brain. And so if you're noticing that your thoughts are moving more into a negative pattern throughout the day, think about how you can adjust that first in the morning. How do you want to feel today? How do you want to be in your meeting? How do you want to be as you move through the day, through traffic, when you're dealing with your coworkers? And just take a moment to kind of visualize it and feel into the feelings of how you want to feel. We know that when we do this practice of precognition, pre-feeling the feelings, that we tend to move into those feelings a little bit easier because we've already practiced. All right, so just decide, how do you want to feel today, and how can you practice that in the morning? All right, thanks for tuning in. There's more tips and tools on our website, on the Montana Public Health Training Center website, under the Wellness Program. Have a great day. Okay, yeah, so how do you want to feel today? We're going to move into that next with a little bit of mindfulness, and I'm just going to invite you to just get comfortable. You know, if you have headphones on, you can lay down, you can, you know, wrap yourself with a blanket or your coat, and just get cozy right now, get comfortable. And I'm going to start us off with just a focused visualization that is just designed for you to focus in on how you want to feel today. And so let's just begin by getting comfortable, and you can close your eyes or hold a self gaze. And we're going to begin by breathing. So we know that when we breathe in through the nose and then out through the mouth, that this can help reset our nervous system. This will help you move into parasympathetic. And this is just science. They just know this now, which is really cool. So when you breathe in through the nose and then out through your mouth, and you can kind of like pretend like you have a pencil and you're blowing out like this, so much air will flow out. And so maybe give that a try as we begin. So let's just settle in and go ahead and close your eyes or hold a soft gaze. And we're going to take 3 deep breaths in. And as you're breathing in, just allowing your body to just settle into the space you are, allowing your body to just feel held and safe. And I'm going to invite you to just focus inward right now, and we're going to activate imagination. And so just imagining a place that's very like special to you. This could be a place from childhood. This could be a place that you just love traveling to. This could be a place you've never even been to, but it's a place you know you'd like to go to, and it would feel really good to be there. And so this place is calming. This place feels good. And so I want you to just allow yourself to move into visualizing yourself in that place, and just see yourself kind of strolling and walking along a path. And as you're walking along, I want you to just notice that on your back is a backpack. And inside of this backpack is all the things that you have to carry throughout your day, just that extra weight of worry or anxiety, maybe some frustration from this past week. Maybe it's something you're holding that's kind of physical, like pain. Whatever that might be, just notice that all of those things are in this backpack, and it's kind of heavy. It's on your back. You can feel it kind of weighting down on your shoulders, pushing into your spine. And so as you're walking along with this backpack, I want you to just look ahead and notice the place where you're going to set down this backpack. And so as you're walking along, just allowing that backpack to maybe swing over to another shoulder, allowing that backpack to drop down to your shoulder, maybe down to your wrist and your hand. And now that you're at the place where you're going to set this backpack down, I want you to go ahead and just let it go. And as you let it go, just noticing that the earth is just absorbing it wherever you are in this place. It can hold it, it can absorb it, and it can contain it for you. And so go ahead and just kind of shake out your hand, go ahead and wiggle out your arm, go ahead and notice, ooh, yeah, this feels good. You feel a lot lighter in your back, your body feels a lot clearer, and you can go ahead and move forward now with your day. So let's just keep walking. And I want you to notice now in this special place, it's just special just for you. You're going to find a place where you're going to just lay down. You're going to find the spot that's just right for you. It's going to be comfortable. And so go ahead and find that spot and get down on your knees and roll down now into a seated position and go ahead and just lay back and just allow yourself to feel absorbed in this place, to feel safe, to feel relaxed. And we're going to focus inward and just allow yourself to breathe into this place. So taking a deep breath in and out. And as you breathe a little deeper, allowing your body to just sink into the space, allowing yourself to notice what's around you. We're just going to focus in on these elements. So first, I want you to just focus in on what you can hear. What do you notice? What are the sounds in this special place that you can really focus in on and absorb into your system? What do you hear? You may hear sounds that are far away. You may hear sounds that are close to you. Wherever these sounds are, just notice them and kind of notice where they're coming from. Next, we're going to focus in on what you can smell. What do you smell in this place? What is this place? What do you notice? Maybe you're indoors and you can smell some cooking that's happening. It may be nostalgic from your childhood. Maybe you're at the ocean, so you can smell the salt and the spray of the waves. Maybe you're out in nature and you're noticing, what are the smells that you're noticing in this place that you're at? Next, I want you to focus in on taste. You may be at a place where there's something that you can taste, something where maybe you can take a sip of some warm tea. Maybe there's a cookie or there's something there that you can taste. And so just take a moment to go ahead and put that in your mouth and allow yourself to just notice the texture, notice if it's hot or cold. Just allow yourself to absorb that feeling of feeling full and allowing that taste to just move down into your belly. And so along with that nourishment, we're going to focus in now on what you can see. And so notice in this place what you can see, what you can feel. We're going to combine those two together. Just noticing, first of all, what's below you, what you're laying on. Is it soft? Is it crinkly? Is it water? What is the texture? And what color is it? What do you notice about what's below you? Now just notice like your hands and what you can touch that's around you. Notice the texture. Notice if it's cold. Maybe it's smooth. Noticing what you can feel with your hands. Noticing too with your eyes. What does it look like? What is the variation of value and light and color and tone? And finally, as you're laying back, let's just look up and notice, what do you see? What is above you? And just allowing yourself to absorb everything that's above you and just relax into the space and just allowing your body to sink a little deeper, allowing yourself to feel held, to feel calm, to feel rested. And so just relaxing in the knowledge that you always have access to this place. This is a place you can move into if you need to anytime. It's always here for you. You know what it smells like, what it looks like. You know what the touch feels like in this place. You know what the sounds are. And even if there's a little treat or something to sip. So just know that this place is in your back pocket whenever you need it. And so this feeling that you're noticing right now, this feeling of calm, this feeling of relax, set an intention to go ahead and bring this feeling back into your day. Bring it back into your relationships. Bring it back in how you move through your office. Go ahead and make the intention to bring this feeling back into your week and how you move through the room and how you interact with others. And just noticing where this feeling of calm is in your body, wherever it might be, just making note that, yeah, that's where that feeling is in my body. And I can go back there and I know where it lives. So we're going to move back into the here and now slowly. So just go ahead and maybe wiggle your toes, your fingers, maybe roll your neck or your head. Maybe even stretch your arms above you and take a deep breath in. We're going to come back slowly in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, welcome back. I hope that felt good, and we're going to move on. So this is one of our first regulating tools that I wanted to share with you. Well, kind of the second. The first one was the morning routine and noticing how you can focus inward in the morning. And then mindfulness, this is another tool for calming the threat response. Anytime that you make a little time in your day to just stop what you're doing, do some breathing, maybe do a visualization, find an app, and just focus inward. This is going to help you move through your day. So let's move on and start learning. All right, I love starting with the brain because it's so cool to know the research out there and understand just what happens to our body when we move into fight or flight, or if someone else does. And so typically you can kind of see these are the different parts of the brain that we're going to focus in on. But I want you to notice the little red amygdala down here. And that amygdala has a lot of power within our system. And when it gets activated, it's sort of like when I teach kids, I always like to use the example of like the thumb is your amygdala, it's inside your brain, and this is the rest of your brain over it. And when the amygdala gets activated, it basically bursts open the brain and it moves into fight or flight, freeze or fawn. And so let's move in and learn a little bit more about what happens when we move into fight or flight or hypervigilance.
We wouldn't have been able to survive so long if we were not able, at points, to get very worried indeed. If we didn't possess a native genius for flooding our minds at astonishing speed with a cocktail of the most intense and panicky hormones our bodies can secrete. And yet, our capacity to keep surviving, or at least, and as importantly, to draw some enjoyment from what remains of life, depends on something quite contrary, and even more challenging. An ability, at points, to unpanic ourselves, to wind down the alarm, and clear the bloodstream of catastrophic foreboding. A mastery of the delicate art of unworrying. Many of us belong within a damnable category known as hypervigilant. That is, we're not merely ordinarily careful and on the lookout for our safety, as we should be, but we are outright panicked and alarmed pretty much all the time. We, in the unhappy, hypervigilant camp, wake up terrified, spend the day in low-level dread, and exist in near certainty that something appalling will fell us. At points, it's so tiring, it's normal that we may long for it all to be over, though that too is a dreadful prospect. The reasons why we're like this are always somewhat the same. At some point, long before we could cope, in the past, we were frightened very badly indeed. So badly, we've never really recovered a faith in the solidity of anything. Something so challenging unfolded, it has jammed our minds in a state of alarm, even when the outward conditions have changed, and when there is, in the objective sense, as kindly friends like to tell us, nothing in particular to be terrified of. Perhaps someone was very angry in the vicinity. Perhaps we were humiliated and made to feel unwanted and sinful. Maybe an older sibling tortured us. Perhaps we got sent away to an institution where we were appallingly isolated. In response, our level of panic hormones spiked and never came down. Now our hypervigilance scrambles the part of the mind that regulates basic functions like sleep, digestion, and touch. And so a telling symptom is that it will almost certainly be difficult for us to rest, to manage our bowels, or to be wholly at ease being touched by a fellow human, however much we might long to be. There is no easy cure, but it is the start of something to have at least a name to put to the inner chaos. A degree of compassion can start up too. We can start to notice how much of life has been held together by fear. We have a concept that links why it's so hard to go to parties, to trust a lover, to relax on holiday, to go to the bathroom, or to sleep much past 4 a.m. We might dare to tell a few others about our hypervigilance, handing them the word like a gift, a clue to our own particular brokenness. Every time we find a kindly other to whom we can safely entrust news of our state, and who can smile tenderly in response, the panic goes down and the world becomes ever so slightly more bearable. But sometimes, when we are alone and the pressures mount once more, we may simply have to stand back and observe the hypervigilance do its thing, smash our plans and hopes, and unleash panic in a way that will knock us out for the day or the month. We should forgive ourselves. This is a disease like any other. What can be hardest, but most important to believe, is that being an adult means having options. We can nowadays push back against bullies, move away when it gets too much, and tell other people what we need from them. We don't need to be hyper-vigilant because we have the option of being truly vigilant. That is, if there were to be real dangers, we would now have the inner resources to greet and fight them in good time. We can worry when we need to, not just because we exist. In the meantime, we should allow ourselves, with this strange, slightly ugly word in hand, to feel sorry for our desperate impulses and strive, where we can, at 4:35 a.m. perhaps, to turn over and get a little more rest.
We can learn the skill of being calm, not through special teas or slow breathing, but through thinking. Our book guides us
Right.
through that process.
Okay, so hypervigilance might be a new
We wouldn't have
term
been
for
able
some
to survive
people.
so
It really is something more in the realm of how psychotherapists, the way that we work with our clients, and noticing if hypervigilance has been activated within the nervous system. And so you can just notice through this slide here what happens with our nervous system, with the parasympathetic, sympathetic, and how it gets activated. And so, yeah, this is an increase into fight or flight. And you know, we want to stay in that like green zone where our digestion works and our immune system works. And when we're in a state of panic or like hypervigilance for a long period of time, the stress really affects how we move through the world. It affects how we fight diseases and chronic stress. It's definitely one of those constant states of arousal where you're just perceiving threats all around you. And so there may not be perceived light threats that are happening, but your body is still in that activated state within the amygdala being activated. And so we're going to move into like how to calm that. And if this doesn't happen, if it's a constant state of chronic stress, this leads to burnout and also deep compassion fatigue. And if you're in a working environment where you're dealing with trauma, or you're going to take on that vicarious trauma, that secondhand trauma yourself. And so, there's so many things we can do. We can move into healthy support systems and relaxation exercises, physical exercise, noticing your sleep, and also breathing. But we're going to get more into that down the line. So just notice if someone else has moved into a state of threat. Their dilated pupils are going to show, their skin may change. You may notice that they're shaking, and everyone responds different in fight or flight. Some people get out of there and they're out of there. Other people fight, other people fawn. And it's helpful for you to just take notice that when people move into this, sometimes their needs are not being met. And so this is kind of the point of noticing, like, what is my mindset when if someone is in a dysregulated state, if they're feeling elevated, noticing how you feel about them. And this is just why I want to check in about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We know that if those basic needs at the bottom of this chart are being covered, and that's just, a place to sleep, there's food, there's water, there's clothing, these needs are being taken care of, then all these other needs, life is just a little bit better. And so not everyone has all of these things taken care of. And so if you kind of have a mindset of trauma informed within your own self, it's a little bit easier to move into compassion for others who may not have that. And so let's get out ahead of this still and check in about control versus not having control. And so this is, again, since I'm a therapist, I want to go into this basic tenet that we counselors use with our clients, and helping them to understand where they're at, and also where other people might be too. Hello and welcome. My name is Jen Roscoe. I'm a counselor with the Montana Public Health Training Center under the Wellness Program. And today's tip and tool focuses on what you can control and what's out of your control. And so noticing what you can control versus what you can't control, this is just a tool that counselors, we use this with our clients all the time to help them move into acceptance, to help just release more anxiety and fear. And so you can take this moment to maybe get out a sheet of paper and draw a circle. In the inside of the circle, you can write down all the things that you can control. What do you notice? On the outside of the circle, you can write down the things that are outside of your control. So typically things that are outside of your control are the weather, politics, traffic, your kids, your partner. I mean, really, it's just about everything externally is outside of your control. And so what we can control is actually our own responses. What our boundaries are, our thoughts and our actions, goals that you can set, and what you give your energy to. And this is so helpful to understand, because when we move into understanding that the way we treat ourselves, the way we speak to ourselves, and how we handle challenges, this will help us move into feeling more peace and relaxation, calmness. You're going to focus inward on what you can control. And this moves us into self-responsibility. This is where all your power lies, is how you feel. And you have the choice. Every day before you wake up in the morning, you can lay in bed and decide, how do I want to move through this day? What are the thoughts I want to feel? And just take a moment to find those feelings, feeling into how you'd like to be in that moment. Let's say it's calm and confidence. So take a moment to just close your eyes and notice where calm is in your system. And notice where confidence is in your system. And we're all different. So notice where you hold emotions and how you can thread them to your own behavior. And if you practice this in the morning, noticing what you can control, which is yourself, you can activate how you want to feel and how you want to move through your day and take control over how you are. And this moves us out of default behavior. This moves us into responsibility. If you can figure out ways to move through the world and not get knocked over by everything external that's outside of yourself, then you're going to feel a lot better. Okay, thanks for tuning in today. There's more tools and tips on our website, on the Montana Public Health Training Center website under the Wellness Program. All right. Yeah, so it's kind of something to check in on is noticing that this is really, if someone else is in an elevated state, we don't have control over what they're doing. And most things outside of ourselves, we don't have control over, but we do have control over is us. And so taking the time to regulate yourself throughout the day, and I'm going to move into more tools for that. This is going to be your number one, like what is in your back pocket for dealing with anyone else that's dysregulated. And also with yourself as well. Like if you notice, oh, I'm actually the one that's in a threat response right now. I'm feeling dysregulated. I'm not feeling safe. If you're the person that's on the other end of the stick for calming the threat response, then this helps you move into more awareness that you have the responsibility. You're the one that gets to move yourself and shift. And so we're going to go into some more tools with that. All right, let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so yeah, wellness. Like there's a lot of tools out there, and I am a big proponent of self-care. And just know that, for some people it's like, gosh, that just feels a little selfish to take that extra time for myself in the day. However, if we don't do that, then we're usually kind of operating out of an empty cup, and we don't have that extra within ourselves to deal with life. And when life hits, it's tough if you get knocked down really easily. Notice that it may be time to kind of notice what are some self-care things that I can do for myself, to kind of build up that well for yourself, so your cup is full and you can handle with what comes, because life, it just keeps coming. It's gonna keep coming. So let's move into some time management tools. I am a big believer in bracketing time for yourself. And so, yeah, just take a moment to notice, like, where in your day can you set aside, even if it's 5 minutes to just have, coffee in the morning. How can you set aside and bracket this time for yourself? And bracketing is a cool tool to have in your back pocket. You can not only bracket time for just like the good stuff that you would like to have in your life, but sometimes I like to give this tip to clients, to bracket even feelings. So let's say you're a worrier and you're someone that's just like, ooh, I just like think about this all the time and it takes up space. And I get just, it's exhausting to think about this thing that you're worrying about. And this is very common. If you bracket that time for worry, that can be kind of a nice tool for your calendar. So let's say you have anxiety about something with your kids or whatever it is, and it just pops into your head all the time throughout the day. You can literally put that on your calendar and be like, okay, today at 5 o'clock, I am setting the timer for 10 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever it is. And you are just going to worry the heck out of it. Whatever that thing is, you're just going to, like, everything you can worry about with that specific thing, you are just going to worry. And when the timer goes off, though, that's it. You're going to walk away from that and move on to the next part of your day. And this is kind of a cool tip and tool for just managing anxiety and taking the time, because those feelings, they're in our bodies anyway. They have to get out. And if they don't come out in some form, then they'll kind of come out backwards, and they'll come out behind you in a way that may be more in like a realm that you don't want them to come out. So take some time to bracket feelings if they're overwhelming your day throughout the day, and you can come back to them at a time that's a little bit better. So you can bracket for good things, and you can also bracket for things that are a little harder. All right, so self-regulating. What's so cool is that kids are being taught this in schools. I love that our kids now, within all the schools, they are learning how to regulate themselves. They're learning how to just take care of if they're feeling activated. They're learning how to do this. And so I just take a moment to notice, like, how do you regulate through doing something that's external? So these are activities that are outside of yourself, that are active in a sense. Do you love making art? Do you love cooking? What are the things for self-care that you do for yourself? And you might surprise yourself. You might actually have a pretty good list, a bath or whatever it is. So if you have a moment right now, just get out a sheet of paper and write down, see if you can find 5 things that help you access the here and now. The cool thing about accessing the here and now is that that's really when we're in the here and now, in the present moment. We're not usually in the future worrying about something coming up. We're not usually thinking about the past, about that thing that person said or whatever it is. When you're in the here and now, you're really present within your body. And that's usually where our nervous system relaxes. That's where we let go of stress. And think about it, like if you're someone that's like a runner, or you like to ride your bike or something, you're doing something that's bilateral. And so we know that when you do things that are bilateral, meaning you're using both sides of your body are being activated, that helps our brain. So the science of it, this is so cool, is, and I learned this when I was a teacher, that I would do bilateral brain stuff with kindergartners when they came in from recess, because they were like so activated and excited, and it was hard, they don't want to come back in and learn stuff. They want to play. And so when I was a teacher at U of M, even when I was in education, we learned all these things we could do with kids where they could come back in from recess and they could pat themselves. This is bilateral. This is something you can do in your office. You can just take a moment to focus in, even if you can't access nature, or you can't access, obviously dirt or gardening. You can tap that into yourself and do bilateral. You can use your fingers, you can tap your legs. And think about it, when you walk or do anything like that, oftentimes our brains relax, and we actually get usually insight in these places when we're just not really thinking about anything. You're like washing your hair, we'll notice that is bilateral. So you're activating both sides of the brain, and they are connecting and they are talking to each other. And it's really cool. These are just like cool little tips that you can do with yourself. All right, let's go into more tools. Okay, emotional regulation. So let's say something happens and you're needing to calm yourself. You're in a moment that's like activating and it's hard. And so just taking a moment to notice right now, do you have a mantra? You might already have something. You might have something that you've said to yourself since you were young. And if you don't, or maybe there's something you've heard someone else say, this is kind of a nice thing to have in your back pocket. I have one that I've been saying, I don't know, 20 years now, and I just tell myself, peace, peace, be still. And that if something happens, it's kind of scary, like a car accident or something like that, I know that I have that saying that I like to say, and it's calming for me. So think of something like, what's a mantra for you? What's something that you could say that's just going to help you soften whatever's happening in that moment? Other people like to have an object, and this is something physical. You can have this in your pocket, you can have it on your desk, you can have even the thought of it. If you can't even see it, it's something you can notice and zone in on and think about what the color is, what the shape, what the feeling is. And when we focus on something outside of ourselves, sometimes that's an object that can help us move out of feeling more dysregulated. So that's just another fun little thing to have in your back pocket. But if you're feeling dysregulated, acting calm, it's pretty helpful. You can fake it. So if someone else is dysregulated, you can move into literally, okay, making the choice. Right now, I'm going to soften my eyes. Right now, I'm going to hold neutral face expression as someone sharing something with you and just staying calm. And when you physically relax your body, this indicates to the other person that you're regulating yourself. And the cool thing about it is that when we regulate ourselves, um, people tend to co-regulate with us in that same moment. And so sometimes if you take a deep breath in that moment, it's just like that gives that permission to the other person too, to maybe just like take a breath in that moment. It may not be a big breath, but it's like a physical indicator that we can both move through this. And that I'm a big proponent of self-talk. Like if you need to talk yourself through something and like, girl, you got this. Um, I'm good at this. Like I tell myself little things like this all the time. Even if I'm on a hike, I'm like, you've done this before, you got this. And so notice how you talk to yourself throughout the day and how you're kind of your own little cheerleader throughout the day. This will help you in a moment if it's dysregulating. And remember to breathe. Okay, so boundaries. All right, so boundaries are pretty powerful, and I have a whole class on this. So if you're interested in learning more on boundaries, if you go to our website, there's a class. I think it's about an hour and a half specifically on boundaries. It's very specific. And so, but just notice that it's really helpful to have boundaries within yourself if someone's feeling dysregulated. And so remember to tune in to how you feel. Notice if you're feeling afraid. Those are indicators. Our bodies, our emotions, this is so cool. Our emotions, they are giving us feedback throughout our day about where we're at. And so if you're noticing a fear response within yourself, listen to it. Like that's helpful information. Um, and just notice that, sometimes it's okay to thank people too, for respecting our boundaries. And notice if someone else has a boundary with you, to respect that, and notice that you can also adhere to other people's boundaries if they ask that for you. But the main thing that I love about boundaries is that they are like a beautiful door into self-empowerment. They really can open the door to discovery within yourself, because you'll notice that it's not about changing the other person. Boundaries really are about changing yourself, because we're not telling people to change. Most people think that manhandling someone into doing something they want, that's what boundaries are. But really, boundaries are about self-care, and they're about really getting clear about what works for you. And so giving yourself permission to put yourself first. Okay, so language. This is a big one. Like noticing how you are with someone else with your language is really, really helpful. And I have a whole class on communication that you can also check out. That's about an hour long. That's good professional development within the workplace and within your relationships. But yeah, no, if someone's dysregulating, just like taking a deep breath and asking them, help me to understand. Open-ended questions are the way to go, because open-ended questions open the door to communication and problem solving, and oftentimes collaboration. It helps people put them at ease when you definitely say like, oh my gosh, just please tell me more so I can understand in this moment, and how can I help you? Um, I have also used like thank yous in moments where someone's dysregulated to help calm the situation down. So when I was a teacher, sometimes parents would come in and they'd be, pretty activated about whatever it was, and they slam their fist on my desk and start yelling about someone else's kid or whatever it is. And so I would start self-regulating right in that moment. I mean, breathing and staying calm within my system, and even like holding the soft gaze within my body. And then the first thing I would try to remember, if I could remember, was to thank them, like, oh gosh, thank you for so much for coming in to let me know this. I didn't know this. I'm so grateful you're coming to me right now. And I mean, really, was I feeling super grateful? Probably not in that moment. I was probably like feeling alarm in my system. But when you say thank you to someone else, it puts them at ease, and you saying thank you for letting me know, but it also puts you at ease as well. And that can be really helpful in a moment that's very dysregulating. So I'm not saying do this all the time, but sometimes that can be a way to kind of just help that alarm response go down a little bit for them and go down a little bit for you as well. All right, so noticing how you listen. So it's pretty powerful. Like, we actually communicate non-verbally 70% of the time. Our speech is actually maybe 30% of the way that we interact with others. And so noticing how you listen and how you communicate through listening is really powerful. So again, I've been saying how powerful it is to breathe, but when we do, we can help actually co-regulate with someone else. And listening skills, they are powerful. If you first acknowledge when someone comes to you, if you paraphrase back to them what they're saying, wow, that just like doesn't happen in real life. People are not used to being listened to at that level, because when they really hear that you're understanding what the issue is, then that validation can actually help calm people down. Because a lot of people, they are just spouting like what they're upset about, and they really feel like no one can hear me, no one's listening, no one's responding, no one understands. And if you just take a moment to really be with someone when they're dysregulated, well, this listening skills are really, really powerful. So just notice, what are the ones on this list that you're good at? You already know how to do this. And what are some that you can bone up on and practice? Okay. All right. We got 2 minutes, so I'm going to just share this last video. Actually, no, this is going to be on the, we have a PDF that we send out, and you can watch this. I only have 2 minutes left, so I want to move into the last thing, which is moving in. If someone's in a panic attack, this is one of my this is a great tool for moving into helping someone if they are moving into an anxiety, they have anxiety, and then you can see that they're starting to move into panic. And on the PDF that we'll send out, there's also a video on this and I kind of model how to do it. But basically, it's the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 tool, and that's basically going through these different things and we did it at the beginning. We did it when we went through the mindfulness about what are things you can hear, what are things you can touch. You're just going through the 5 senses. And yet when we do this, this puts us back into the here and now, which is exactly where you want to help that person move into. Because oftentimes if someone's moving into panic, they are repeating a rumination within their thinking. It's probably a distortion of or thought that is overtaken their system. And so you want to help someone move out of that thought thinking and just move into the here and now. And anyone can do this. You can do this with someone that's really dysregulated, like, okay, let's just take a second and move. We're going to focus in on all the things we see in this room within your senses. So, okay. All right. Well, thanks so much for coming. I always like to stay on a little longer and check in to see what others want to share. Desiree, is this till 10:50 or till 11?
11.
Oh, great. Okay, so we have time. Awesome. So let's move into just a little bit of review, and then I like to open it up and see if people have questions or if people want to share, you know what, there's this other thing I do and this is really helpful. But remember that breathing is like one of the best things you can do to just like breathe. And I love this tool of humming. Humming is like it activates your vagus nerve. So if you hum, this can literally help your nervous system move into parasympathetic. And so just notice if you're like something happens within a work environment and you're walking back to your office, you can hum a song and that can help regulate your system. And this is a great little regulation tip. Even when you leave the office and you're going home, you can hum the whole song that you're listening to on the radio. Okay, so let's go into what we went into today, and just notice if there's something you have a question about or something you want to share about in understanding trauma. So I went into hypervigilance and the nervous system, a little bit into Maslow's hierarchy and how it's just helpful to understand that we don't all have those needs being met. We went into control versus not control, and basically everything outside of yourself that's external is out of your control. I mean, we live in Montana, so we know the weather is like, yeah, just wait 5 minutes, it'll probably snow. But then also, the thing that we can control is our own internal response. And so if you're focusing inward every day and finding ways to kind of fill your well back up, to kind of, fill that cup up with little things that are self-care, and noticing how you can regulate yourself and take control over how you feel. This is like the key to life. This is so helpful. You can be like a ninja moving through life when you can control your own internal response and not move into default behavior. Because when we're in default behavior, we're usually not really operating from our best self. We're usually operating from a place that's fear or anxiety or frustration or anger. And so noticing what are ways that you can really bone up on your self-care. And then we went over a lot of tools. So notice about what are things that you already do? What are ways that you use speech? How do you listen? We went into the 5 senses and a little bit on boundaries and breathing. So yeah, let's just open it up. And I'm going to stop sharing. But before I do, I think I have one more slide on a resource. I just wanted to put this out there to folks. If they haven't read this book, The Body Keeps the Score, this is a great resource in learning more about how our bodies hold trauma in our system. And so if you haven't, like when I first got this book, I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing is thick and this is hard to read. It's kind of clinical. However, I got it on Audible and I was able to plow through it a couple times. So I highly recommend this book. And whoops, play it. Let's go on. And yeah, I think Desiree is going to put an evaluation in the chat, but I'm going to stop share now and just check in and see if people have questions or thoughts or what they're noticing. What's the takeaway for you today? What's something you can put in your back pocket or give it a little bit of a try? Okay, and I'll just wait for people to kind of unmute themselves and open up. And thank you. I'm going to thank you in advance for letting me know, like, what's a takeaway? What do you notice today? I'm noticing in the chat, people are saying, thank you. Oh, this book is amazing. I like the circle of control. That's from Kathy. Thanks, Kathy. Mary Ellen says, I was having a medical procedure done and started humming. All right. The doctor said that after the procedure, she wished more patients knew about humming. I didn't know about the vagus nerve at the time. Yeah, that's a great one. And my little cute story about that is that I learned about this learning about preschoolers, that when they found out that when preschoolers get dropped off or kindergartners, that they naturally will hum and they're just like self-regulating themselves as, mom or dad or their caregiver or whoever just dropped them off. So that's cool that we already know how to do this at such a young age. Kayla says, I was on the fence about buying the book, but now she's gonna get it. Okay. Oh, great. People love Body Keeps the Score. It is a great book. Yeah. Okay. Are there any other questions or thoughts? Okay. All right. Christina says she loves the idea of bracketing. Yeah, bracketing's powerful because we often think, yeah, I'm gonna make sure I put on my calendar that I'm gonna get up and work out or whatever it is. But sometimes it's nice to bracket those things that are a little bit harder and make time for them. And that's just my little plug for also counseling, that counseling is kind of bracketing that time too for that. And when you spend the time to connect and kind of go into those deeper understandings of your own psyche and how you move through the world, that is self-care. That is definitely taking care of yourself to another degree. Okay, let's see. Do I do private counseling? Oh gosh, I'm booked up. Thank you for asking. When I send out our thing though, I have my email address, so you can always check in and see if I have an opening. Thank you. I was going to try a bunch of these things, trying to survive. All right. Yeah, that's what we're all doing, right? We're just making it through the day. Okay, anyone have anything, any questions to share? Well, I can go back to that video and share that if we have time. What do you think, Desiree? We have 3 minutes left.
Sure.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, well, let's go back to, I'm so good at technology. Look at that. I did it all by myself. And let's see if it'll go back one though. Okay. All right. So this is that tool I talked about earlier. So we're just going to end with this. Have a great day, everyone. Hello and welcome. My name is Jen Roscoe. I'm a counselor with the Montana Public Health Training Center. And today I want to share a tip and tool for you that's really helpful for just softening anxiety or worry, or even if you move into panic. This tip and tool is designed to help you move into the here and now. And the way that we know we can do this is through the 5 senses. So usually when you're in a worried state or anxiety or even panic, you usually are thinking about a cognition over and over and over. It's usually a rumination that's either derived in the past. Sometimes it can be in the future. And so the 5 senses helps you move into the here and now. So when we're in the here and now, we tend to help soften that thought pattern that's just has gained a lot of momentum, and help soften it a little bit and help you move into what's happening right now within your senses. So let's give it a try. All right, let's just focus in right now. What do you notice with your senses? So take a second and let's begin first with hearing. All right, what do you notice? Just looking around, noticing what you're hearing, and just get quiet for a minute. Okay. Well, thanks for coming in today. I want to thank everyone for just noticing that they are here and now, and noticing what they can hear and now, and all their senses within themselves. And I hope today you take a moment to notice your 5 senses and how you can move into those things, and move out of moving into feeling dysregulated and moving you back into feeling your parasympathetic regulated and your nervous system calm. So thank you again. Oh, thank you for the thank yous. That's so nice. I'm going to just stay on for a little bit longer because sometimes people want to ask questions. So thanks again for coming.